Hey everybody, it's your boy King Legend 757. You already know the vibes. Today we got a special guest in the building, Dillon Kivo. And I'm trying to let you guys know this guy is amazing. He's just one of the GOATs in the game, if you ask me, in the digital market space. Dillon Kivo has been doing a lot of work with public relations and just making people famous. Like there's no other way to put it. That's what he does. If you need to get your business or your brand out there, this is definitely the go-to guy for that, especially in the social media age that we're living in. So Dillon Kivo, just a little bit about him. He's worked with celebrities like Ice Cube, NFL legend, Rob Griffith. I mean, he's just really working with a lot of people in the industry that you might know of and behind the scenes of it. So I want to give him this time to go ahead and introduce himself to you guys. So Dillon Kivo, how you doing today?
Good, brother. Appreciate that, man. Making me sound like Spider-Man or some superhero out there. Appreciate that, brother.
Not a problem. Not a problem. So
So
go
yeah,
ahead, tell us about where you're from.
so I'm currently living in Vancouver, Washington. I've been here for close to a year now in the Pacific Northwest, and I grew up in Southern California. I lived there actually for about 18, 19 years, and I loved it. I loved the sun. I loved going to the beach all the time. And my whole goal growing up was actually to make it to the NHL with hockey. And when I turned 18, I had a team on the East Coast over by you in Hampton, right, in Chesapeake, Virginia, who gave me that shot to try out, and I made it. It wasn't the NHL. It was basically a junior hockey and stuff, and my whole road to go to the NHL. It did seem pretty clear at one point in my life until I had a couple pretty bad injuries, bad
Wow.
concussions, wrist injuries, knee injuries, anything you can think of, right?
hmm
And from there, man, that's when I knew I had to kind of flip the script and figure out a new avenue for myself. And growing up in Southern California, being a firefighter is kind of like a hometown hero. You know, everybody wants to be a firefighter, kind of like, I was going to say similar to police officers, but not right now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I understand completely.
We're talking, 15
That
years
was,
ago when that was kind of like the cool thing, right?
yeah.
And no disrespect, but just in general, like firefighting was kind of like the avenue I really wanted to go down. And as soon as I turned 22, I applied. And so I played hockey from 18 to basically 2021. At 22, I got hired at Norfolk Fire Department, and I did that for a little about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I loved it. I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't quite fulfilling that void in my heart that I thought it would.
hmm
And that's when I knew like that was not going to be my long-term game. And then I started working for some just massive entrepreneurs, dude. Like we're talking guys that their company's worth millions and billions of dollars.
So I
You
got
know?
a question for you.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
a firefighter, when you was doing that every day, when you were talking about goals here in your future, did you ever see yourself in this space at all?
Never. One thing I knew for sure is I knew I was going to do something big, but I didn't know at what scale. And I don't mean big as in financially. I
hmm
mean just big in general. My thing is growing up, like I loved working with people and genuinely helping them out. And I think that's what initially drew me to firefighting was I had the ability to help people out. Now that just happened to be health versus business, right? That's 911, got the emergency. We're there on people's worst days, right?
Got you.
And so I'm basically able to do the same thing now, but in the business sense, because sometimes I'll get that call, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, where somebody has a really bad reputation management issue, right?
hmm
And so, and I won't disclose some names, but a couple stories. It's like I'll get a call from that rapper who just threw a blow at somebody at some amusement park, and now they're all over the Fox, ABC, NBC News, and
Yeah,
in a negative way too, right? It's not talking about the next single that they're coming out with. It's they just got
exactly.
locked up, and who knows what's going to be the next of them, right? So it's basically coaching them through like the next steps, publicity or publicly speaking, what we can do next to correct that, because sometimes it's the false narrative that's actually told versus the true one.
So you basically, in a sense, you deal with the damage control as well.
I do that as well. I would say that's not my primary focus. It's probably about 10%. But in my
Okay.
opinion, reputation management is just as or more important
hmm
as being just consistently active and promoting yourself in a positive light. Because it's one thing with people to see nothing on the website or
hmm
online, like your digital footprint, if it's clear and there's nothing out there. But it's one thing for them to see negative stuff. right?
Exactly. I
Because
agree.
negative, that's a terrible connotation to shoot across. And no one's going to trust you if it's going to be negative information versus positive, of course.
Got you. So moving forward, you was a firefighter and you got your mindset on helping people. And so you come out with this situation where now you're able to do that for a living, but in a different space. So let's
That's
talk
right.
about that transition.
Yeah. So firefighting was cool. I enjoyed it. I was able to, literally save people's lives, right? Pretty much on a daily basis,
Hmm.
which was cool, as fulfilling. The problem that I started noticing was it wasn't able to pay really all of the bills that I was looking to pay, right? And so, I mean, I was definitely living within my means for sure, but I always knew deep down I kind of wanted to have this quote unquote large lifestyle. Right. I knew I wanted to have the flashier cars, the bigger houses and stuff
So
like that.
many of us do.
That's the thing, is like that's just like who I was, and it literally has nothing to do with like materialistic stuff. I just want to live large. You get one life, you get one shot. You know what I'm saying? If in my opinion, it's like if you get one shot, you might as well go to the moon.
Why not?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so because of that, though, firefighting was taking up a decent amount of time, and it was also mentally draining for me, that it was hard for me to just have that side hustle, right? Like I couldn't just have like an internet business on the side, because when you're doing firefighting, that's a 24 hours at a time, right? About
Yeah.
9 to 10 days, sometimes 11 on average per month. But during those times, those days that you're working, you truly are held up. You can't just answer the phone.
Essentially, you're unavailable. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? Like, I can't really scale a business while doing firefighting. What I did was I built an online agency where we did just websites, digital, just build websites for anybody and everybody that I could while I was on my off days. And what I did is I built enough clientele where that money started to surpass the amount of money I was making per month as in the fire department. And so that's as that transition started slowly shifting gears, is when I was able to replace the money that I was making at the fire department. That's when I knew I was confident enough, because I was doing it for about a year and a half at this point, to
Got you.
actually make the transition and have confidence within that decision, not just overnight, hey, I'm going to just make websites and hopefully I get clients. I actually worked my ass off, man. I was working no less than 14 to 18 hours a day.
And how old were you when you were doing this?
I was about 22 to 23 years old.
Oh my God. People don't ever see that all the time. It's like, man, you have to be driven to make
Yeah.
that kind of stuff happen. That's not something that's just gonna happen on freak accident. There's
Oh,
some
man.
work and some effort put into that and a lot of grind,
Yeah.
that you had to do as well.
It was nuts, man. Like I know with one of my biggest publications, Kivo Daily magazine. Well, it took me. See, nobody knows this either. It took me about 6 to 8 months working 80 hours a week until I made a penny off that website.
Wow. Say that one more time for the listeners.
Yeah, it took about 6 months working 80 hours a week to even make a penny off that website. So in other words, I didn't reap any reward for 6 months. And I'm talking, and I don't mean I made $100,000 after 6 months. That would have been fine. I'm talking like $40.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like I worked my ass off, because the thing is I knew I had the vision to get where I wanted to go. It was just that time didn't catch up to me yet. That was the problem.
Mm.
So all the daily actions I was taking, activities and tasks that I was working on, I knew what was going to happen. It wasn't like, man, I really pray to God, which I was, but I wasn't just hoping for the outcome. I was damn sure positive what was going to happen for me. 100%. It wasn't even a question.
In essence, you were preparing yourself for what was going to already happen. You knew it was going to happen. It just was a matter of time.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm telling you, dude. In fact, I'll show you something right here. I have this right here. See this?
Yeah.
This is an old check that I wrote to myself. It was April 5th, 2022 for $1 million, right?
Wow.
So I surpassed that last year in 2020.
Manifested.
I wrote that in, I think it was 2018, maybe 17. I think it was 17.
Yeah.
But so I gave myself 5 years to make $1 million. And I beat that by 3 years, which is really cool. I remember I pulled that out one day, and that's why I work right next to it. Dude, this thing is so torn up, man. Like
I
super.
see. It's been
Yeah.
through it with you.
Oh, 100%. And I always work next to it because whenever I'm going through the hard times and like things just don't seem to be clicking, I pull that out and I look at it. It's all tarnished. You can see. And so it's been crazy, man, just to be able to go through the hard times and then, reap the benefits of it.
So that brings me to my next question. How important is it to really not only just see the vision of your dream coming true, but to physically do things like you just did to really remind you on a daily basis that this is going to be a reality? Like, how important is that?
In my opinion, it's the most important part. And let me explain why. Let's just say you wanted to go from, I'm in, Pacific Northwest. If I wanted to drive down to California, right? And if I want to get there, but I have no map or visualization of how to get there, I can jump in a car all day long. In fact, I can jump in a plane, right? If I can't vision the path of me getting there, I may end up in Florida, right? If I don't know where I'm going, it is literally impossible to get where you want to be.
That's deep.
You have no navigation, right? And that's what, like, if you pull up MapQuest and in the olden times, whatever, or like Google Maps, whatever it is, it gives you a route, right? If you see the route before you start, you know where to go. If you have no route in mind, you get lost.
Exactly.
And so that's how it's like, if you don't have a vision, it's kind of like in the Bible. It's like, those who don't have a vision will perish. Like, like the old saying, right? The old verse. It's the same thing in business. It's like, if you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, you should really pause for a second, sit back and create the vision in your head before you physically try to, embark on a journey.
Okay, so what would you say to a person that has been working at their dream for years? They just have not got that break yet. What would you say to that person if they feel like they're on the edge and just ready to quit?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like sometimes you have to break down before you break through, right? And so sometimes it's like you have to hit rock bottom to even, once you're on rock bottom, the only way to go is up, right? And so the best part about being in the low parts of your life is that's where the lessons are learned. It's okay to hit those moments. If you don't know what crap looks like, you don't know what gold looks like. If you don't know what trash tastes like, you don't know what caviar tastes like. So you have to have the difference of perspective, right? And so it's truly understanding, like, okay, so this is where I'm at, but it's not where I'm going to be. And so I would say that the biggest encouraging words I would say is, you're not meant to stay in the hardships. You're meant to basically use that as a rocket ship to boost off to the moon to where you actually want to go. Wow. And so in order to understand where you want to go, you truly have to understand where you currently are. For example, my first job ever was McDonald's. It was a good first job, right? It wasn't a good forever job. And the reason why is when I started McDonald's, dude, I'm telling you, I knew within the first week, there was no way in hell I'm staying here for a minute. Not a chance, right? Like, there's just no way in hell. And so because I went through the crap, that's when I was like, you know what? Let me go from working this minimum wage job to making maybe $15 an hour to 20 to 25. And then eventually I said, no, I need to start my own business because there's no cap. I don't like having a ceiling on top of me.
Exactly.
Right? And so if people that are just starting off, if they truly understand, like, it's okay that I'm here, but the whole goal is to get somewhere else.
Gotcha.
You have to start at the bottom to work your way up. So you never want to stay in the crap. You want to get through the crap.
And I kind of like to compare it to a person that's digging for gold. You're going to keep digging, you're going to keep digging. But if you quit, you don't never know how close you are to actually reaching that goal that's right there.
I mean, it's true, man. Like, even diamonds, it's right. It's like they're so far under the dirt. It's the dirt that you have to get through to get to the gold.
Exactly.
It's not the opposite way around. You're not going to just be walking around and you see a field and you're going to just see the gold on top. It's not how it works. You have to dig to get where you want to go.
Absolutely. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and transition just a little bit. Let's talk about authority titans. And what is that to you?
Authority Titans is my way of really giving back. The reason why, and yes, it's a business, and yes, it generates me revenue every year. The whole goal is getting from people where they are to where they want to be, because so many of us are there. You know, there's a lot of talented artists. I would say a lot of my clientele are artists, right? And that's why I talk about them so often. There's a lot of talented artists out there where they have what it takes to get to the next level. The problem is nobody knows about them.
Mhm.
And the reason why that's a big issue, it's kind of like having a Lamborghini in the garage. You can have the nicest car in the world, but if that garage door is shut and nobody knows what's behind that door, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So, and that's the same thing when it comes to talent in music, or even a lot of my, entrepreneurs that have these great business ideas, but they don't have they don't have the legs to put on those ideas. And that's really what PR does essentially, is it gets your message out to the masses. And so
Correct.
it allows people to really know who you are. And in my opinion, the more PR, the better. Not just because, okay, great, I get more money from it. That's not the point. It's the more information that you put out to the world, the more chances people are going to know who you are. But also, too, it's not just information in general. The reason why a lot of people like working with me is because, one of my mantras is like, I don't pitch, I publish. I don't have to necessarily go to a lot of these journalists and reporters and pitch my story to them. A lot of times they're buddies of mine, or like I used to write for Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine. And so I can go to, but literally friends of mine, send them over, an article and say, hey man, can you, like, this is great content. Can you, can you get this up on your column? The reason why they like that is because they don't have to sit, researching for a certain business in a specific genre for 5 to 10 hours. I can hand deliver that content. My client's happy, the journalist is happy, and so is the publication.
In
Everybody.
that case, everybody wins. And
That's
I gotta say that's really awesome what you're doing, because in the digital age we live in, so many people forget, and I'm just talking from a business point of view, especially if you kind of old school, you don't want to get hip to what's going on right now.
yeah.
Um, that's a huge space to really grow your business on the internet. Like, if your business is not on the internet right now, I don't know what you're doing, to be
If
honest.
your business is not digital, it's dead.
Literally, right now in this day and age, it's safe to say that.
I mean, dude, look at Bitcoin, bro. It went from whatever, $100, $200 several years back, of course, to just last month like 40 grand.
Outstanding. It's crazy.
That coin is not backed by anything. It is backed by, literally, it is a digital coin backed by hype. The hype is spread digitally online through social media, through PR, through videos, YouTube, through social, what I mean? Like, it's all online.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. If people can create a coin that's digital, make money off of it, that shows you the power of the internet.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Now, I've actually used your services before, because I'm one of those type of people that I won't promote anything that I've never actually used. I'm just not
Yeah,
that type of person, you know what I'm saying?
I'm the
So,
same way, bro.
yeah, because I feel like I'm being fake if I do that. How can I recommend a specific dish to somebody if I've never ate it myself?
You
How
know,
can
you
I tell you it's good?
it's funny about that too. A lot of people like, hey man, can you refer me? Can you refer me? And like, dude, I'm telling you, there's probably 1% of people out there that I actually refer people to, or people, yeah, the people that I refer to. And when it comes to referring people, it's kind of like, I'm not going to refer a bad doctor to my dying grandma, right? Like,
Absolutely
you just
not.
you just don't do that, right? And so it's the same thing with like referrals. It's like, I'm not going to refer just anybody. It's like, you
Yeah.
have to be good, but you have to prove to me that you're good too. So I completely understand where that's coming from.
Absolutely. And I just want to shout you out and commend you on your services out there. Keep doing what you're doing, my brother. I
Appreciate it.
appreciate it, and I know the world will appreciate it once they totally understand what it is you're actually doing. If you guys go check out my Instagram, I do have a post up there, a couple posts up there shouting out some of the pages, and this is the man behind it right here. Okay.
Yeah, brother.
U.S.
Absolutely.
Reporter, New York Weekly, Kivo Daily. Yeah, this is the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, right here.
Thanks,
Okay,
brother.
most definitely. Well, I definitely want to say I appreciate your time. And any words of encouragement, anything like that. Matter of fact, before we go, I almost forgot. and y'all gonna have to get on me about this later. What does Dillon Kivo want to be remembered for?
That's a good question. I would say number one, the guy who was able to help out the most amount of people in a genuine way. And I'll be more specific though, is I would love to be known as the guy who's able to change the face of media for the better and get rid of this whole fake news crap that's really out there, because it's a real thing, and really replace that with really like encouraging positive messages to the world. Because the problem with the media right now is they're learning that they're getting more hype, more clicks, and more attention off negativity versus positivity. And I think that's a false narrative that's being shared. And I think that the whole world would be a better place if most, and I understand that there's always going to be negative stuff out there, just like crime, I get it. But if the narrative was spun into more of a genuine, real positive way, I think that people who read the news and publications and all the articles out there, it would change their day-to-day mindset into positivity versus just, oh, there's so much negativity in the world. So I would say it's to change, people's mindsets.
Absolutely. I appreciate you again, my brother. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking the time out your busy lifestyle to do this for me.
Yeah, this is a fun interview, dude. Keep doing what you're doing. You're
Thank
killing
you. Absolutely.